Okay. There's the let's see, minutes from all right, let's call this meeting to order.
John Bushman,
Present.
Jeffrey Campbell,
Present.
Jeffrey Smith,
Present.
Dan Sherkey,
Present.
Corey Rodriguez.
Present.
All right. Approval, I guess, approval of the agenda.
I'll move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then approval of the meeting minutes from January 19th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
All right. So the request for a special exception, 54 Showers Lane. So I guess at this point is public comments, I guess, are closed. So now I guess it's our discussion of the property, I guess, is, or the exception, I guess, is what how this proceeds.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've all had, I guess, had our own individual times to think about the exception. I guess we've all come up with our own opinions, obviously without discussing it. So at this point, we just go down the line and just discuss what we've come up with individually. First one we done like this. So.
Exactly. You want to share first?
Okay.
Okay.
We'll just go down the line.
All right. I've taken a considerable amount of time and looked at this, and I've read the Tuscarora zoning ordinance and the subdivision ordinance and the growth plan, and I've seen there are some ambiguities and cross references that I didn't quite understand, but having come to the last meeting, I understand now why the Planning Commission and zoning, I guess the zoning board, cannot do anything about the status of this property in terms of approving or not approving the usage. And it's because there's no change in the footprint of the building, there's no height change, and there's no change in the permeability of the soil of the site. And it became clear that this comes down to the judgment of the five of us, or the four of us in this case, as to whether it should be approved or denied. And for me personally, it comes down to the side setbacks. Whenever the zoning ordinance, the 1975 zoning ordinance came into play, I would say that there was, that the side setback did not go along with the zoning ordinance because it's so close to Showers Lane. In terms of the front and backyard, probably so, and at that time, only maybe 1 or 2 parking spaces were required for residential application. But since that has changed, this now has become a commercial property, the setbacks, I feel, do not comply with what is necessary by the zoning ordinance and for safety purposes. I think that we need to look long-term and what would be a safe environment for people to travel up and down Showers Lane. And although the real estate offices I see is rather a benign application, might be a couple of cars there, or you may stop in during the day. It's what could happen in the future that concerns me most. If that property is sold and turned over to a dentist office or a doctor's office or some other application that is now in the zoning ordinance, and there just wouldn't be enough parking to accomplish that. And again, the safety is an issue. I don't think it's safe to back out on the Showers Lane even in good weather. And we've come through there many times when there's been traffic, cars parked in the setback, in the state road highways right of way, which is only about 2 or 3 feet off the corner of the garage. That's where I stand with it, and I cannot, in good conscience, allow this to happen. So I deny it myself. That's what I can perceive of it.
I think in looking through this and thinking about it since our last meeting, and reading through the ordinance, and like Jeff had said, there's a lot of ambiguities and a lot of different things. I also went back and looked. There was a application for an exception back in 2006 by the Mawks, which they had proposed a parking lot, a parking structure, to turn this into a commercial or to a professional office. And reading through the minutes of that, there was concerns back then, and it was later, I guess they had voted in that meeting to allow the exception with the parking, but then later, in what I could find from the in the public records on the planning commission's website, there was a letter sent dated September 1st, 2006, that said the special exception may have been granted erroneously, because there was some, I guess, opposition to it. I don't know all the details of it because it's not listed on the website, and I don't see anything officially denying it. Some of the things I did find interesting, reading through the minutes of that meeting back in 2006, if I can find my notes here. Go ahead. Berkeley County Zoning Board of Zoning Appeals meeting minutes, June 5th, 2006. Patrick Henry, legal counsel for Berkeley County Planning Commission, is quoted in here as stating, and if you notice at the top of the zoning ordinance, Patrick Henry was legal counsel for the zoning ordinance, so he would have firsthand knowledge. And he's quoted in here stating, the zoning ordinance was created by Lee Van Meter and J.D. Steptoe, were the basic creators of this ordinance, because it was an effort to make sure commercial development did not come up Showers Lane where some of their families and they themselves lived. So one of the factors in creating the ordinance to begin with was to help limit the commercial up Showers Lane in particular. So I think looking at the intent of the ordinance with regards to this, and the fact that it was already attempted to make 54 Showers Lane a commercial property with a parking facility that would be adequate according to the zoning ordinance, and in this case, there is no intention to create any parking to adequately serve the property. I think that's my biggest concerns is, like you said, are we setting a precedent that if this property were then sold down the road, what other professional entity would come into place that would then have inadequate parking and wouldn't have to abide by parking structures at that future date?
So I'll go next. One of the reasons that last week when we were to convene, that I wanted another week or so to think about this, because a lot of information was thrown to us, and there's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to the ordinance. There's a lot of gray areas, and we had to discuss with Mr. Mousy last week what we could do, what we couldn't do, and really it's open to our interpretation.
Yes.
It really comes down to personal opinion. So I want to give it some thought. For me, it comes down to two different things, and I kept making notes at home and scratching things out, and it really boiled down to these two things. And I wanted to write them down so I wouldn't forget them. First is, and we've kind of already mentioned, is the precedence that will be set if we let this home be converted from a residence to commercial use, okay? Or from a homeowner to sell to a buyer who intends to use for a home for business down the road. I'm talking about other homes on Showers Lane. This would open up a precedence if we allow this property to be done in such a way. Because other homes down Showers Lane, the lid is off the jar. If they want to do something, we wouldn't be able really to fight it, because we've already had one do that. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I think I brought this up last week, we brought up again today. I know right now you guys want to use the business for a real estate business, although the traffic would be minimum. You said very few customers will be coming there because everything's done electronically. But like we said last week, we mentioned today, if you were to sell it to somebody else, we don't know what they're going to do, what their intentions would be. All right, so it could be a doctor's office, a dentist's office, and we know it would be a lot more traffic there. In my opinion, the bottom line is, and Mr. Bushman just mentioned, in the spirit of the ordinance that was drafted by Patrick Henry, the bottom line is Showers Lane was never meant to be used for business fronts. All right, Showers Lane exists solely for the residents and homeowners and not for businesses. And that's what it comes down. It's a residential area. It's not meant for businesses, period. And so that's where it all boils down to me. So in that case, I'm going to have to deny the request for special exception for this property.
Okay, I too had spent numerous hours reading, just not the Tuscarora zoning district ordinance, but I went as far as to read the comprehensive plan and the subdivision plan. All three of those documents must have had a feeling that compatibility was going to be a very important issue for existing business, for existing homes and property owners, and to be allowed to operate a business. All three of them, in numerous sections of every one of the documents, cite harmony, compatibility, of course, quality of life, all in reference to what is there already and future development. Then I went on even to more extensive reading, and there's a section, I think it's 103.4 of the zoning ordinance. And it says there, to maintain and protect residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural areas from encroachment of incompatible use. Now, I think that's a two-way street or a multiple freeway. It's not for the protection only of residential, it's for the protection of commercial, business offices, agriculture, and everything else, but it has to be compatible with what's there already. So my thought process went like this. If I'm gonna open up a dentist office or real estate office, and this is not derogatory in any means to anyone that's in farming, do I want a pig farm next to my office? That's the two-way street. I think it does address what can and cannot be used in the usage or the property or the existing versus new development in coordination of all three documents stating encroachment. You cannot encroach on what is already there. The second area has already been mentioned that was important to me, and that is parking. Yes, I don't have to go by that location and up over the crest of that hill. I live on the corner. I have seen numerous times very close calls on people slamming brakes on, and if you guys would have been home, your car would have been hit because they swerved that way. If not, they're taking out my neighbor's mailbox and my mailbox, trying to get out of the way of oncoming traffic. That was the second concern of mine. If we go on and on and on and on, there's other areas in each ordinance, each document that states in plain language. I know we discussed the gray areas the other night on 119. The compatibility issue, quality of life issue, the characteristics of the neighborhood issue, that's not gray. That's just outright stated. Other than that, the parking, like I said, is the reason that I would have to deny the approval. And that's all I have.
Yes, make a motion.
Yeah.
And then any of these will be followed up with a written order by staff, meaning me or probably Jeff, who was here last time, based on your findings. So let's go ahead with the motion.
Mr. Delegate, do you need this?
No,
No?
I don't.
Okay.
That was a template for us to organize our thoughts
We'll
on
have
it.
your thoughts on. There'll be final order if it's approved or denied in a written form,
Okay.
so that you will just sign it. You don't have to have a meeting or anything. Just sign it. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like you know which way it's going. There'll be a motion, a second, and a vote.
The motion. Say that one more time.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
A motion to approve or deny.
Okay.
Special exception.
Okay. The motion to deny the request for special exception.
To accept or deny.
Yeah.
This would be a motion.
A motion to deny.
Right. Motion to deny.
I'll second it.
So if you're in favor, then we're in favor of denying.
Denying
the
it. Yes.
You would say aye.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. So all in favor of the motion to deny?
Aye.
Ah,
I abstain.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
If there's anything else on the agenda.
Any other staff updates? All right.
There's an upcoming meeting in February.
We got a motion to adjourn, right?
Yeah, I guess there's the meeting in February 25th.
23rd, isn't it?
I forget what date.
I forget the exact date, but we'll send out the packets.
I think it's February 25th because I know I can't be here. I will be in.
Chicago.
We'll have you in Chicago that week. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be in Chicago that week. Seattle the week before.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second the motion.
All right.
I
All in
agree.
favor? Aye.
All right.